one method may not have a necessary advantage over the other, but they just want to see how you think. So they would say, oh, I want you to do it only this way. Okay.
Okay, now let's get to like my favorite thing of like, I think that this entire IPC, like this is like my most favorite concept. So this was supposed to be
In the previous slide, but I put it as more traversal because we won't be doing it with the stack. So this was in the previous slide, I would just use a stack, right?
But it's also BST right?
Yeah, there's also BST. Okay, but you could you do it iteratively, and like my addition is you should do it without a stack. Basically no additional space.
So, yeah, let's get to paint. Does somebody want to tell me what is the in order? Yeah. You don't even have to do that. In order means just in order, yeah. But okay, if you use the stack, how you do it? How would you do it? Yep, it's exactly what I showed you in the previous section for in order tree traversal. You do that, right? So if you want to do it without a stack, again, so whatever I'm about to discuss is the output of somebody's research. So there's no point in like trying to brainstorm through how to do it.
No recursion
No recursion at all.
No space.
No stack or anything. No extra space, basically.
We'll have to go to the leftmost child first.
Yeah. And yeah, also O of n time. If it is O of n log n, you can do it, right? You at each node you find the predecessor.
Can we modify the node?
Yeah, you have to modify the tree.
Just point it back to the parent.
Yeah.
Going down.
Yeah, but that does not like sum up the whole algorithm. That's just like a tiny part. So basically the central idea is
For each node, I try to find its predecessor, and I have a connection back to itself.
So I start at 8, I do this.
Okay? And every time I find, so the predecessor is obviously on the left side, right? So if a node has a predecessor, then I go left and do the same thing.
So right now it does have a predecessor. So I go left and I do the same thing. What's the predecessor of 5? 2, right? So I do this. Okay, and then I come to 2. But 2 does not have a left child.
I think so. The successor of 5, right?
No, 2 is the predecessor of 5. 2 comes before 5.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So once I get to 2, it does not have a left child. At that point I visited.
So it's 2. Okay?
And if I visited a node, then I go to its right.
Not the predecessor.
No, I only look for the predecessor if it has a left
Not the
child.
successor.
No. So, yeah. So basically, I do this. That's why it's O of n. So if I did predecessor or successor on every node, it will be n log n. But here we only selectively do predecessor. So there's two things. If I have a left, then I look for its predecessor. If I don't have a left, then I just visit it right there. Okay? And then I go to the right. Okay, I'll pull up the code in 2 minutes, but let me first verbally explain how to do this. So I go to the right,
And then
now I need to visit 5, but 5 also has a left, right? So, but I need to visit 5. So you visit a node in 2 situations. One is if it does not have a left child, and another case is if I already went through it and did this wiring. Okay? So at each node I check two things. Does it have a left child? If it does not have a left child, then I just visit it. If it has a left child, then I get to the predecessor and see if the predecessor has been wired to this guy. If the predecessor has been wired, then I visit him and I remove this connection. And then I go right.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Pull up the code. So
it's pointless just me talking about it verbally. Actually, it would be like really ideal to go through this with pseudocode. Let me write like good pseudocode. So cur equals root, or no, let me do ITR. Or no, cur is good. Okay, cur equals root, and while cur is not null, I go inside the while loop. Okay, first is if left is equal to null, then I just visit cur. And cur equals cur dot right.
With third dot left equal to null or?
No, if left, yeah, cur dot left, yeah. Yeah. If cur dot left is not null, then I find the predecessor, find pred of root, of cur, sorry. And I make pred dot, oh okay, so here there's two things. So I find the predecessor, and the predecessor's right could either be null or it could be pointing to me, right? So if the predecessor's right is null, that means I did not do this wiring. So I just do this wiring. So pred dot right equals cur, and then I just visit the left. I'm out of space. Okay, I'm gonna write code here. So this else, so the else of this if will be, I'll go into the else only if my predecessor's right is equal to myself. In that case, I visit myself again. And I again do cur equals cur dot right. That's it.
there's one like master if else, and inside that I have a helper and another if else.
So we need not check whether predecessor's right is correct. That would
Yeah,
be
so-
only else part.
Yeah, so there's two outcomes when I come out of this. If I come out of this, the predecessor's right is either null or it's current. So if I had predecessor dot right equals current, then this would be inside the right. So I only get here if predecessor's right is equal to current. Make sense?
Yeah, example.
Sorry?
Example.
Yeah, of course, we're gonna do that on this example. So let me get rid of this. Let's start afresh. So this while loop is the important part, so I'm just gonna keep this thing visible. Okay, so let's say 10, 5, 7, 9, and then -2. Okay, let's say I have this tree. This is a BST, right? Is this a BST? Yeah. BST? Okay?
Yes.
Okay, so now cur equals root and cur is not null. Okay, and then I enter this while loop. There's nothing above this. Okay, does 10 have a left? It does, right? So I go into the else and I find the predecessor, which is what?
Predecessor of 10.
Yeah. No. Okay, so the predecessor of any node in a BST is what?
Either the
Yeah, and let's say it has a left subtree in this case. Yeah, okay, go ahead. Let's
rightmost child of left subtree
Yes.
or
Or?
the root of
Yeah. Or what? No.
or something
Left
in
most
the
right side.
root.
Like its ancestor
ancestor in the root,
like
in the root.
like in the
towards
while traversing root, the first
Yeah.
ancestor is in its own.
No, then that means if, let's say I have 25 here. Okay, let's say I want to find the predecessor of 25. You said first ancestor in the root.
Not
That's
in
not-
the smallest element that is lesser than the current element along the root path.
Yep.
The first element that
Yes.
is lesser than the current element
Yep.
in the root.
Yep. So basically wherever you make a left turn.
Right.
Okay, so there's three cases for if there's a node and I want to find its predecessor, there's three cases. So the first case is there's a node and it has a left child. Okay, if it has a left child,
So -1 should come left of -2, right?
yeah, it's on the left of. No, minus 2 is
Oh,
less
less
than
than
-1. Yeah, this is negative. Okay, so there's three cases if you want to find the predecessor, and even for successor, there are like counterpart cases which are very similar. So the first case is if I have a left child, then it is the leftmost,
Rightmost.
yeah, rightmost child of the rest
Left
subtree. Okay, so I go left and then I do right. That's one case. Okay, if I do not have a left child, that means I am the rightmost and I'm the leftmost node of some other guy, of some other guy's right subtree.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the successor of some other node. So I need to find that node to which I'm successor. So for which node will I be a successor? So predecessor is rightmost node of left subtree, right? And successor is leftmost node of right
Right
subtree.
side.
So if I do not have a left child, then I need to find that node whose successor I am. Right? That means I am the leftmost node of some other node's right subtree. So I find that by going up the parent path wherever I do a left turn. Okay? And it's possible that it's not possible, but like 90% of the cases, the tree data structure that's given to you will not have a connection to the parent. So you need to traverse again from the root to myself, and then along that path you find a node which is less than myself. The last node that is less than myself. And that's the parent. Okay? We're digressing, but it's good to know. I want to give advice. This is like a standard algorithm. Being able to find the successor or predecessor of a node. Okay? For here, when we call this, we only call this if you have a left child, right? So this find pred is very dumb. It does only one thing. It goes right, it goes left, which I know already exists, and then it goes to the rightmost. In some cases, it could be that node itself. I don't care. Okay? So right now, what is the predecessor of 10? 9, because it is the rightmost child of the left subtree. So I find 9, and is this condition true? Is this if true?
Yeah.
Is 9's right null? It is null. So in that case, I do the wiring. Okay, let me get rid of this 25. Okay, and since I did the wiring, what do I need to do? Go left. Like, look at this. Look at the code. So I just go left. So right now current is this guy. Okay, does 5 have a left? So I find the predecessor and then I do the wiring. And then I go left. Does -2 have a left? No, so at that point I visit. So in this case, let's just say visit is printing. Okay, so I just print -2. So -2. Okay. Now if I did that, if I visited it, okay, I visited it in this subclass, right? If I visit it, then I do cur equals cur dot right. So right now this is cur. Does this have a left child? Yeah. And then I go left. Does this have a left child? So I visit it, and it does not have a, okay, it does have a right. So what is its right? Yep, -2. If you did not do this wiring, there's no way to, so you have to do iteration, right? Iteration means I go to a node and then I somehow get to its next node, I somehow get to its next node, that way. If I did not do this, then there's no way for me to go from -1 to 2. That's why I did this. Okay? And whenever I visit something, you notice, these are only two places where I visit. If I visit something, then I just make cur equals its right. So right now cur's right is 2. Right? Okay, let me make this bigger. Okay, now we are at 2. And does 2 have a left child? Yes. So I go inside the else and I find the predecessor. But is the predecessor's right null? Right is not null. The predecessor's right is myself. Right? Because I'm at 2 and the predecessor is -1. So -1's right is not null. In that case, I visit, and oh yeah, I also need to make there's a line of code in here, and that's pred.right equals null. Okay, so now I visit 2 and I remove this connection. Make sense?
Why don't
Sorry?
why don't
Because if you are modifying something and it's being passed by reference, then it's good discipline to return it to the original state. Right? Yeah, algorithmic wise it would still work even if I did not make that, right? Yeah, so okay, now I did 2. Now what happens? So I was here and I got into this. So right, so which is what? 5, exactly. So wait, this already got done. Yeah, so now I'm at 5. And what's 5's predecessor? Okay, again, go through the whole thing. Is 5's left null? No. So I go into the else and then I find the predecessor, which is what? 2. And is 2's right null? No. Yeah, so I come into this else. Right? So I visit 5 and I remove this connection. And I make cur equals cur dot right. That means 7. Okay, is 7's left null? Yes. So what do? I visit 7 and I make cur equals cur dot right. Okay. Is 9's left null? Yeah. So I just visit 9 and I make cur equals cur dot right, which is 10. So I come here. So is 10's left null? No. So I go into this else. What is the predecessor of 10? Is, yeah, the predecessor of 10 is 9. Is 9's right null? No. So I go into this else. So I visit 10. And I remove this connection. And I make cur equals, cur dot right. And 30's left is null. So I just visit it and then move right. And 40's left is null, so I just visit it. And 40's right is null, so this while loop exits. Really? Nobody is feeling like excited or like they found something like very. It's actually OFN.
But every time we find the predecessor, right?
Yeah, every time you find a predecessor, but you don't find you don't end up finding predecessor for nodes that do not have a left child.
Still,
It's actually O of n. It's not in log n. There is like some theory behind that. I did not read up on that. But I could have a tree where every node has a left child except the leaves. And each time the height is also decreasing, right? For a balanced tree. There's no log n. So it'll be, yeah, actually there is like some theory. It's the same theory as like heap. So the heap is an almost complete binary tree. And in heap there is like one subroutine which on every node I go all the way to like the max depth of that node. But overall it turns out to be, the runtime turns out to be O of n. Actually I have those lectures linked. We can look at that now, but that's fine. So basically the general idea is every time I try to find a predecessor, but not every node has a left child, so I don't have to do that. And at every node my height is decreasing. So yeah, when you calculate the overall runtime, it will come out to be O of n. I'll definitely get back to you on that, because like this algorithm is awesome because it's O of n. It's very easy to do this in O of n log n. So every time I have a node, I find its in-order successor, right? For each node, if I have the node at the root, I can find the in-order successor easily. But that would be O of n log n. This is O of n. I'll get back to you on that, but I just thought that this was like super genius and really, really excited me. So let's look at the code for the problem.
Okay, so this is just regular, just declarations. The interesting part is inside the while loop.
So one second. I don't have the initial this condition. Oh, I do. Okay, my bad. Yeah. So, okay, I have, so when I wrote the pseudocode, I had left equals null and then I had this first. That's why I got a little confused. So, every node either has a left child or does not have the left child. If it does not have the left child, then I just visit it. In this case, visit is just adding to the array list. And then I move right. Okay? If it does have a left child, then I want to find the predecessor. So the predecessor, this is what finds the predecessor. The predecessor is nothing but the rightmost tree, the rightmost node of the left subtree, right? So left subtree, and I want to get to the rightmost node, so I do right. Okay? But for the case where I already wired it, if I keep doing that, I will never get to null. Right? So for this case, infinity running.
Yeah, exactly. So for a case where I already wired this, if I'm trying to find the predecessor, I go right, and I go left, and then inside the while loop I'm just doing right, right? And this termination condition is never hit because the right is 7, right is 9, and this is 10, and then it goes somewhere where we don't want it to go.
I just want it to stop here. So on route to finding the predecessor, if I again get to myself,
Then I stop there. So that's this.
That's this guy. Okay? And then once it exits, then it would have exited because either this was false or this was false. Right? So this is false, it's the negation of this. So if this was the case, then that means it wasn't wired. So I just wire it, and then I go left. And yeah, I could have just had else. I just have that. I don't know why. I could have just had else. If this was false, that means this was true. And the while loop exited because this was false. So it's false is this guy, so I go in here. So if this is the case, that means I found myself en route to finding the predecessor. That means the wiring already happened. The wiring already happened, I just visit myself, and then I negate the wiring that I previously did, and I just go right.
It takes time to conceive this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just look at the pseudocode on the YouTube and try to
Understand how this works.
Is this asked in interview?
So,
No.
yes, so a friend of mine got this in her Google interview. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I got confused a little bit. So, I was doing like a mock interview for my friend and they used this.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how I know about this. But it's not, don't be too surprised if it counts. So at least they will at least ask, check to see, like they'll just probe to see if you know it. And if you know, you get brownie points. Like they'll know like you're at the top of
that
the top.
something like this exists, we need to know how to solve this programming. Right? I always tell
Yeah.
you that I know what is traversal programming.
I mean, it's not too bad that you don't solve it in the interview. At least knowing how it works is better than not knowing how. And the brownie points work in case of like if you have multiple interviews and you're just borderline on one of them, but you got brownie points on the other, then they'll say yes to you. If you just like if you just meet the bar on one of them and you are like borderline on the other, then they might contact you for more interviews. But if you have brownie points, then that's like an added plus. Right? Any thoughts on this? Yeah, I mean, it's. I just like introduced you guys. It's totally okay to not get it right now. Like it's like a very like much deeper this algorithm than the ones you study usually. So like spend more time. Like you look up online for articles where they're like explaining it better. I'm pretty sure there are multiple articles. So yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for coming.